All right. Thank you all. I'm excited to be here. My name is Tom Hartman. I'm at VideoAmp. We are a measurement attribution solution, but more interestingly for brand marketers, we're one of the very short list of companies that is being considered an alternative to Nielsen for all currency measurements for the upfronts this year. And I'm very excited to be joined by Kevin Shapiro, Senior Vice President of Consumer Marketing at Coty. For those of you who may not spend as much time in the beauty world as you could, Coty is a multi-billion-dollar global marketer. While they are primarily a beauty company, you should know that beauty is the third largest category in advertising and in sales in the United States. So this is a multi-billion-dollar industry. And Kevin leads brands, which he'll talk about, but some of the most important brands in beauty in the world. And we're going to not just talk about beauty, we want to talk about trends for marketers and things to think about when you're marketing for the today and for the future. So let me pass it to you. And Kevin, I also want to say thank you to Brand Innovators because we didn't know each other 3 days ago, and now we're close.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, everyone, and Brand Innovators for having us. I just want to say really quickly a moment of gratitude. 1 for meeting Tom, 2 for Brand Innovators, and 3 for all of the new friends, old friends, previous friends who I've met, met for the first time or who have joined us today. So really excited to be here. And yes, Tom and I now go way back. He's gotten the full Kevin effect as of the first night that we met. So very lucky. And yeah, what I'm going to talk about today is really kind of 3 ways that we go to market for the now and the future. And as Tom mentioned, the beauty industry is huge. And I spent my career at a number of the top beauty brands in the world. And so the examples I'll give are from beauty, but I think the themes and kind of the overarching strategies that are resonating now with consumers can easily be applied to a multitude of the other industries that are represented here.
That was time. Perfect. Kevin, you worked at P&G, at L'Oreal, at Revlon, and now at Coty. All of these are leaders in the global beauty industry. Just before we dive into sort of talking about marketing generally, can you talk about sort of the benefits of working on global brands and global companies? And I know we didn't prep this question, but just and you grew up in Mexico and in Japan and studied in Israel. Like you have a unique, a very special global perspective.
So we're starting off script. I love it.
Thank you.
For me, part of the richness that I have, whether it's in my experience or my team that I manage, is having different points of view. And I was actually speaking with a former colleague who she's actually on flight already headed back to the city. But we were actually talking last night about how interesting it is to kind of move to different organizations and really build new products and teams and ideas and inspiration with people that come from different backgrounds. And it's one of the things that at Coty in particular, I feel like we're very blessed with because we've acquired a lot of the brands that are in our consumer beauty portfolio and in our prestige portfolio from P&G about 5 years ago. So we have a lot of folks who came with the brands from Procter & Gamble, but even Sally Hansen, which has a longer time association with Coty, was still actually a Coty acquisition a little under 20 years ago. Not to mention that the beauty industry is a small industry, generally based in New York for the US or North American business. And so it's great to work with people who each bring different sets of experience and just different orientation to the type of questions that we have. Because at the end of the day, we're serving a market with 300 million plus consumers, with the most diverse, multi-ethnic market in the world, which is the US. We talk a lot about high growth markets, but in terms of where the market is now, it's still largely the US. And it's so important to have that diversity internally, to have the top conversations and the provocative thoughts to make sure that our brands are staying at the pulse of the moment and being relevant to all the consumers out there.
Really interesting. The first topic we thought about talking about is partnerships, and you're running a $1 billion business. Think about talk to us a little bit about how you think about partnerships as a growth engine.
Yeah, absolutely. So overall topic is 3 ways to win with marketing now and in the future. And the first is partnerships. And I think that it should be probably obvious if you're a marketer. If you have your eyes open today, whether it's Gucci and North Face, Gucci and Adidas, I mean, if I start listing all the partnerships we've had in this last few years, then we'd be out of time. But partnerships are an integral part of our strategy overall, especially on our Sally Hansen business. So we started, we're the #1 nail color business. And I can tell you from having worked on #1 businesses, they are the toughest brands to grow because you're already #1. And so at the same time, you have the expectations to grow the category, to grow consumer excitement, to grow the purchase, to grow the engagement. And so for us on Sally Hansen, because we're the #1 in nail color and nail care, we began a partnership strategy prior to when I joined Coty in 2017 with Crayola, but it's something that we continue to push and to drive. There's a couple of partnerships I wanted to talk about today. One of them is kind of a more standard commercial partnership, which is with Peeps. We just announced it last week. So for those of you in the audience who like the Easter season because it's Peeps season, we also like the Easter season at Sally Hansen. And we just rolled out those displays across all of the major retailers and including digital that are featuring our new limited edition shades. And what we found is that the partnership is so important because it gives consumers another reason to engage with Sally Hansen or to think about Sally Hansen. Just a quick poll of those who wear nail polish in the audience and don't do it at the salon. If you do it at home, how often have you run out of your shade, like the bottle is empty? Okay, 2 people. See, you don't run out of nail polish. So what does that mean? I have to inspire you to buy another shade because it's fun. So partnerships are a great way to inspire you to buy something that is completely discretionary. It's not toothpaste, you don't run out of it. It's not shampoo. It is not your favorite skincare product. You do not need it, but you want it. And so partnerships and building love in brands that have similar values, similar positioning, similar excitement over color authority is something that we look at very seriously when we partner on Sally Hansen. So Peeps is our latest, and I encourage you to check out our limited edition shades that are in stores now.
That's amazing. And first of all, I have to ask, what color are you wearing?
I'm wearing Sally Hansen Miracle Gel Slater Girl.
I'm holding out for my, little gift set up this. All right. So you also have done a big partnership with Glad, right? And that is both a business decision, but it's also a commitment to the community. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And special shout out to Glad did have a panel at Southside yesterday. And the Glad partnership actually started before I began at Coty, but really the idea behind the Glad partnership was to have a nonprofit that Sally Hansen could support. And originally the support was around Gay Pride Month. And the partnership began in 2019. But what I'm really excited about is how we've deepened the partnership with Glad. So there's been a number of interesting DEI panels that I attended yesterday, interspersed with others, sustainability and relevant topics. And one thing we want to be very conscious of at Coty and our brands, in order to protect them and in order to build that authentic connection to consumers, is to not be perceived as being performative. And so we spend a lot of time, whether it's talking with our employees who represent diverse backgrounds or who are representing with consumers, to understand how we do things that are authentic. And one of the things that I made a decision with my team to kind of do in 2021, given all of the things that happened in 2020, is to actually deepen the partnership with Glad. It's so important not to be pink washing or rainbow washing. And in 2021, certainly after the events of 2020, I think a lot of consumers started to question brands' authenticities and commitment. And so we actually doubled down on our partnership with Glad. And so we wanted to take LGBT Pride out of June and into a moment that was relevant for Glad. And so we actually extended our support and extended our partnership to include Spirit Day, which falls in October. And it's all about purple as a Spirit Day color for awareness. It's an anti-bullying moment for LGBTQIA+. Sometimes I say queer just to shorten all the letters. I don't mean only Q, but it's easier to say one word. But obviously being queer, for example, in Texas, if you're not aware, there's some very unfortunate things happening for queer youth. But as a brand, we want to be the light that inspires. We want to allow people to be aware that there are better futures. And GLAAD works to protect the representation of queer folk in media and make sure the representation is accurate and fair. And that's something that we're very proud of Sally Hansen to be connected with. And we're actually, in 2022, I won't say which brand, but we're actually adding more brands to our support of GLAAD for year 4 in the partnership.
Awesome. So for the marketers in the room, can you talk about how you make the decision to pick a partner, whether it's Crayola or Pete's or GLAAD? Like, what does it have to do for your brand to be a good partnership? Because they take a lot of work, in general, more work than you think they're going to take. Can you talk a little bit about the selection process?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, every process is a little bit different. I would say, kind of the more commercial partnerships like with Pete's or Crayola, it's business to business. It's how you kind of approach any negotiation, making sure that there's alignment of interest. There's mutual interest from the brand partner that we're partnering with, so that it's a productive relationship. There's also the retail side, so it's making sure that we have a partnership or a potential partnership, given that our business is sold through the top retailers across the US. That is interesting for that retailer as well. That also represents a brand that they care about. And then third, for the number one nail color brand, it's a brand that has color authority. So obviously Crayola has color authority in a different space. And while it's a little bit indirect, Pete's are certainly known for their beautiful, bright, pastel, fun colors. So for us, there's, obviously on the nail color category, the partnership should also play into colors. And that's even true for LGBT pride and GLAAD, even there, right? We're known for the rainbow flag as queer people. And so it also, organically serves the brand interest. But we're always talking to new organizations when we think about cause marketing, and a lot of it is alignment of expectations. So it's understanding where the organization is, what are their growth goals, what are they expecting out of a corporate partner. We tend to like to work with organizations that we can start with baby steps, and that's for us as brand owners and as employees who represent diverse backgrounds, a way to kind of also get to know the organization. And it could start small. For example, we're talking to one organization now, and it's very open-ended, and they just invited us to consider volunteering with their organization. They have virtual volunteer opportunities, they have in-person opportunities, and it's a way before any contract is even drafted, before any dollars are talked, to say, hey, do they like the smell of us, and do we like the smell of them? And so there's really no one way, but there's a lot of ways to think about how to build a successful partnership. But again, we prefer to kind of start with the smaller steps and more organic ways, and then build up, because you can always continue to build a successful partnership as you have with GLAAD.
I feel like we're trending towards the fragrance business when we think about evaluating by smell, but I digress. Wellness is the second topic that we wanted to cover today. It's a broad topic. I think everyone is talking about it, from food to beauty. How do you think about wellness, and why is that one of the pillars we're talking about for marketing?
Yeah, great question. We think about wellness because I kind of started with a stat that I saw. We do a lot of long-term trend forecasting, but also with the disruptions that happened in the world in the last 2 years, a lot of long-term trends kind of got either put aside or accelerated. And with all the stress going on over the last 2 years in the world, we now see that 86% of consumers are looking for brands to make their lives easier and to bring their wellness. And so that kind of nugget goes into my thoughts about every single thing that we do, every touch point we have with consumers. And for the first time in very many years, we saw almost 2/3 of consumers saying that they actually are using makeup, using cosmetics products simply to feel better about themselves. It wasn't necessarily about looking good for a romantic partner or looking good to go to the office because people weren't going to the office. It was really like just a break in the day to kind of uplift your own mood. So when we think about brands like CoverGirl and bringing the uplifting power of makeup, which is really what we stand for, it's so important for us to think about how can we bring that uplifting moment, that kind of quick break from everything that might be on the news or maybe going on with your hat, you know. And you just want that 5 minutes to yourself, and it's not even because you're leaving the house, but and you want to be that brand that's there. And so that's why it's really kind of connected with wellness, and you see that as well reflected in our retailer partners where they're actually building out wellness sections. And so there's just that really interesting juxtaposition between what's going on outside, but also how it impacts how you feel on the inside.
We want to take some time for a couple questions. If you have a question, think about it, get ready, raise your hand, maybe I'll throw in while you guys are thinking about it. Mask mandates are going away. I'm just kind of curious, are you seeing people think differently about how they want to present themselves than they did 2 years ago? From this, like, how have we seen trends change in your business? And if you have a question, please put your hand up.
And we have 30 seconds on the third leg, which is value reframing. So it's question and value reframing.
Perfect. So the question about mask mandates, we were originally when the pandemic had started and there were wider mask mandates and there were kind of wider isolation going on across the country, we certainly saw the impact because consumers were actually the ones who did work out of home in essential jobs were looking for products that had transfer-proof, long-lasting benefits. So we did see, a shift, obviously, because we don't want to have all that makeup come off. And we have great products like our Outlast Lift product, which stays on all day, won't transfer. The original torture tests for that were, with the coffee cup and making sure it didn't transfer onto the your lip color onto the coffee, the edge of the coffee mug. And so that same technology that goes into our transfer-proof products also works super well with masks. Fortunately, as the world is opening up, a lot of people who were working at home, they've been using less makeup are now back in the game. And yes, with mandates coming down, especially in really pretty much everywhere at this point, we've seen a return to health in the category, and people are kind of breaking outside of their long wear now back into all the other categories in makeup.
And reframe, value reframe.
Yeah, so value reframing sounds super technical. I will give a shout to Daniel Epstein, who's kind of a guru on commercial marketing, who I knew at P&G. So this is his term, but specifically, consumers are always looking, unless you're selling luxury business, where you would never have a value comparison because you're only buying for the emotion and the feeling of being part of a club. The rest of us mortals always have to think about the value that you're presenting to your consumer. And so value reframing for us lately has really taken shape as dupes. So if you are on TikTok or if you're on other social media and you're following any beauty creators or whatnot, you'll see a lot of dupes, which means they will find products that are, let's say, $40, $50 prestige products, and then they'll find drugstore makeup that gives us similar results, very similar kind of split face. If we're talking about foundation or split, before and after for a lip. And so it's something that while we don't seek to be a dupe brand on CoverGirl, it's not our reason for being. Our reason for being is accessible, cruelty-free, uplifting, makeup for people. Dupes have kind of been an angle where a lot of influencers have found us and found a lot of success. So we've had a couple of our products go viral on TikTok. One of them is our Simply Ageless Wrinkle Defy foundation being compared to a $40 foundation, which is a $12 foundation. So they're very similar results. And then there is a lip balm that we just launched, Clean Fresh, and it is again, I'll never say that the luxury brands that are being duped, but there's a expensive lip brand that's being duped, and really it gets very similar results. I can't see the difference.
So time for one question. We'll wrap up right here.
Love the socks. So I'm hearing that you bring a plethora of strategies, partnerships to market, and that has bring a very elevated responsibility to the human connection with the consumer to get that messaging out. How do you think about where technology helps your team sort of elevate, get out of the weeds, and not be buried under the data to get the messaging out in a relevant and personalized way?
Great question. For us, technology and partnerships kind of goes along. I mean, technology is really whether it's we're talking about digital or social or any of our ways of going to market is really the overlay. And so when we have partnerships, it's simply the content that gets created there. So for example, we just announced a partnership with Perfect Corp in Southampton for Triumph Technology. And of course, all of our limited edition shades are part of that because they're by definition new shades. You haven't tried them before, so therefore you'd probably be most interested in trying the newest shades. So that's it's not necessarily the depth of the partnership per se, but the practicality of, you see it in store. It's not a typical mass retail and you see how it looks if you try it on. But we also roll out our partnerships in digital. So we have, again, the limited edition shades, whether it's cause marketing or other partnerships, we have kind of the full information and imagery assigned to partnerships. That's really how we animate the brands and get, again, that interest for consumers to reconsider us.
Thank you so much. I just want to say, Kevin Shapiro from Coty, thank you so much. Kevin grew his billion-dollar business 11% in the first half of, or the last half of last year. If you think about the numbers, that's pretty amazing. We will be looking for those of you wearing the Peeps color tomorrow when we're back. So there will be a prize. Thank you so much, Kevin. Congratulations.
Thank you, John.